All right, what's poppin', world? Got another banger for y'all, man. Y'all know what's happening. Y'all tapped in with the Head of the Game podcast. If y'all new to the channel, man, I cover various topics, touch on lots of different subjects. So y'all ready to title? Let's get right into it, man. This is a couple of talking points from a manosphere perspective versus a feminist perspective, just on these specific topics, and I'm just gonna give y'all both sides. I'm gonna try to be unbiased as possible, try to give both arguments so y'all can get a bigger perspective just on the nature of, this dating, environment that we're in, right? So sitting up there, what better points to make out of balancing out a relationship through the prism of responsibilities and your obligations, right? Responsibilities, obligations, and also expectations, right? A lot of big words, but y'all get the point. What we getting out of this in translation. So point number one, provision, right? So hear me out, ladies. If there's any ladies watching this, you feel me? I'm gonna have to get this one to the manosphere perspective, but I'm gonna try to get y'all argument too, right? So when it comes down to provision providing, right, the way it looks like is that they want the man to be an above average or a high earner, someone that's able to foot the bill and provide this, quality of life or whatever the case may be, right? The only issue with that is that a lot of women want all these expectations of the kind of upfront, high upper echelon kind of man, but doesn't entail with what comes along with interacting with that kind of man. Now, okay, this is my only disclaimer. I understand there's anomalies. I understand there are exceptions. This is only generalizations because speaking on the majority definitely most times impacts the masses. So, with that being said, if you are a woman that on your priority list, you got your career, you got your money, you got your degrees and your schooling, and underneath that is motherhood and taking care of your man, you're saying you're gonna, not to say it won't succeed, but you're putting yourself in a deficit just because that man's priority list may not be compatible with your priority list, right? Because we all gotta compromise, we all gotta give and take. We can't have everything, right? I could make an argument that a guy with like a super baddie that make money and submissive and cook and clean and so on and so forth. But we all understand that's a freaking unicorn, and more so times than not that. The prettier the woman, the higher the overhead, just due to how typically high maintenance she would be. Correct? So, with that being said, if you don't know how to make your home, you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to clean, you don't know how to nurture, you don't know how to serve, and you don't understand tonality and knowing how to manipulate or utilize your femininity to be able to get your point across, this is all you're going to see all day. Button heads, and you're going to be counterproductive, even though your intentions is in the right place, right? Next subject, friendships. Now, for the ladies, this go either way where y'all be in a deficit. For one, the infamous guy friend or friends, and let me put a disclaimer, a guy friend is okay is if it's a mutual friend, it's a friend of your significant other, or that friend so happens to have my camera start to tilt on y'all. Hold on. Lock that in, man. All right, there we go. All right. So, it has to be some kind of built-in interest there. It can't just be linear, like y'all just friends and that's just what it is. Now, are there platonic friendships between the opposite sex that exist out there with no strings attached and y'all don't know anybody? For sure, but let's just keep it 100. That's in the minority. That's not the norm. You feel me? unless y'all in a friend group, y'all grew up in high school, so on and so forth. But whatever the case may be, that's the small majority of friendships, right? But you got that side, and then you also got the homegirls. Now, the homegirls are fine, but if y'all going on girls trips, or you got that single friend that want to be out in the mix, and she always outside, and she hitting the clubs, and so on and so forth, and you're obviously trying to move to a different place in your life, but she's still trying to keep you in the streets. It's a no-no. That's a no-no, because you're only going to be putting yourself in harm's way, right? So as far as the friendship deal, you got to have certain parameters, certain boundaries, keep good communication. And that leads on to my next point, which is communication. Now, this is a toss-up for me because I feel like both sides could do better. On the woman's side, like I mentioned before, men care about tonality. Yes, be expressive. Yes, articulate and know how to emote yourself. But tonality is everything. If it comes down to condescending, all we hear is white noise. We're not going to be very receptive to that because most men do not like being micromanaged. Let's just call it for what it is, especially by their woman, right? So you got that going on. The other side of this is that the man's side of, because we have fragile egos, so you say one thing that hurt our feelings, is going to have the whole house glass house tumbling down. You throw one little rock. You feel me? So we need to be better of knowing how to have those tough conversations without being argumentative ourselves, or all macho, beat your chest hard, you don't talk to me like that. We need to know how to pick and choose our battles. Yeah, we speak our piece, you feel me, stand on business, but we could do better about knowing how to go about it, right? Next one, submission. Submission, dominance. Yin and yang. They balance each other out. So, dominance should automatically, in nature, make a woman submissive. Because that's just in their nature. You point a direction, they just have their nature to want to follow. Some women, they want to pick and choose when they want to submit, when they want to follow, when they want to lead, and it becomes very confusing, a very confusing dynamic, because now you're only following or being submissive for when it's convenient towards you. And this is all about compromising and sacrificing for that other person, right? So here's the problem with submission, and here are the things that I do here, right? You want to get a woman to submit, oh, you're not my daddy. You want to get a woman to be nurturing, oh, I'm not your mama, right? Want a woman to submit, oh, I'm not your slave. I could do it on my own. Not taking instructions and following instructions to the T, because what I don't want, or what I don't like, is that how some women can go to the workplace and they know how to navigate and control their emotions when that dollar on the line, but when they come back to their significant other, they don't know when to shut it off. They don't know when to turn it off because they're entitled, right? Some women, not all women, and hey, in certain dynamics, dudes can sit up there and have that same kind of egotistical entitlement as well. So I'm not gonna act like it's just a woman problem, right? Both sides, we can do better on that. The next one, which is sex cheating. There's this saying that goes around, all men cheat. If women knew how hard it was to actually have sex with a female, let alone cheat, they probably wouldn't sit up there and act as if every guy got the motion. There was once upon a time, I didn't have to have the motion. I had to work hard for it. You feel me? It took years and years of trial and error to be able to refine my game to where I'm able to sit up there and talk to women in a certain way to where I can kind of pick and choose my success rate. You feel me? But that's besides the point. Women, y'all cannot quantify. Okay, cheating is wrong. Either way it go. But we cannot act like they're on the same playing field. Right? Can't do it. Men are naturally territorial, and it feels like if you violating yourself, you're violating that man because you're that man's property, that man's territory. You belong to that man. It's not to sit up there and say, he don't belong to you, but it's just two different natures, though they're still wrong. So I'm not trying to give an excuse for it, right? And
your device has no GPS signal.
Be quiet.
This might affect navigation's functionality.
I have to say I'm in the middle of a video. Thank you. All right, that was my tablet, y'all. My bad. But in this discussion off on the last subject, which is kids and family, marriage. When you get a divorce, females get half. They get alimony. So on and so forth. Are there anomalies where men get a divorce because the woman was doing whatever? For sure. 90% of men lose the custody battle and get put on child support. So having kids and procreating, the risk is higher, way higher, and it's not even close on the man's side. Right? So take it how you want, and like I said, there's more topics. I might do a part 2 to this because I know there's a lot more topics I can touch on this, but I mean, it is what it is. You feel me? Like, and like I said, I told y'all I was going to try to be unbiased, and it definitely sounded like I was biased. You feel me? And maybe it is a little biasness, you feel me? But try to call it straight down the middle as good as I can. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure y'all got any thoughts, comments, leave those below. Like the video, and last but not least, subscribe to the channel. More bangers on the way. I'm up out here.